Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Today's phrase is to lash out. To lash out. And that's quite a common phrase. It basically refers to someone who's reacting in a sudden, aggressive, or emotional manner. They lash out. Not only people, but sometimes our pets can lash out at us if they're angry as well. A person who's feeling upset, frustrated, or threatened lashes out at those people around him. Because it's quite sudden, there isn't usually any reason to use it in the future tense, but we can report it and we can talk about it in the past tense as well. When someone lashes out, they may express their emotions through angry words, actions, or behavior. It might involve yelling, screaming, or even physical aggression, which of course is not tolerated in British or American society, or harsh criticism towards others. This behavior, lashing out, usually stems from being overwhelmed. When something stems, or when we talk about where something comes from, we talk about where it stems from. We can also use it when we're talking about where someone grew up. They stemmed from a particular place, but that's a bit more unusual. Usually we talk about illnesses stemming from a particular condition. To stem. That comes from the fact that plants have stems. The stem of the plant is the main bit, and then the leaves grow out of the stem. I'm telling you this because we're talking about lashing out. And this behavior usually stems from a sense of being overwhelmed or stressed, unable to cope with a situation, or perhaps having a problem dealing with your emotions in a positive way. Stem is when we say where something comes from. So, for example, if someone is lashing out all the time, we can say, well, that stems from a bad childhood. It's just where it's coming from. Maybe we could say that a person who has problems in their life would explain the reason why they lash out at everyone. That's where it stems from. Let's look at some examples. So, let's see now. So, John lashed out at his colleague during the meeting, yelling about constant mistakes. Yeah, lashing out is not really suitable for a business environment. Feeling overwhelmed with stress, Emily lashed out by throwing her textbooks across the room in frustration. During the argument, Lisa lashed out with sarcastic remarks. Now, of course, what you define as being lashing out and what I might call lashing out may be two different things, because if I get offended really easily, I could say, oh, my boss, John, he lashed out at me without any reason. It might be lashing out in my mind, but it might not be lashing out in your mind. It might just be a simple disagreement. So part of it depends on how you see a particular situation. Whenever my boss is criticized, he tends to lash out defensively, refusing to accept any feedback. So in this case, it might not be something physical. He might not stand up and shout. He might just shut down a conversation quite aggressively by saying something like, "I'm not accepting this." So you see, lashing out can take many different forms depending on the culture that you're living in. Now, there's a news report today that the Mayor of London has lashed out. But I think that's just media speculation because I haven't seen him on TV having an argument or shouting. But the idea is this. The Mayor of London is responding to a report that crime on the London Underground is rising. And of course, that's his responsibility. He needs to fix that. It falls under his responsibility. Well, he's lashed out, saying, well, actually, crime is not up. It is true that the police have issued figures showing a rise in crime on the London Underground. However, he's saying that this rise is simply because of the number of people who are coming back after COVID. And that's why there's a rise. It's not that there's more people committing crimes, it's just that it's returning to normal. And therefore, figures again are rising to normal. So he's lashed out, it reports. So in this case, he's not actually being physically aggressive or screaming and shouting. He's just strongly defending his position. So you see, lashed out can sometimes be a little bit of an exaggeration. Generally speaking, we use it when people act in a bad way, especially in response to something else. So if somebody says something to you, like makes a personal remark, you might instantly be defensive and say, "Oi, who do you think you're talking to? Skedaddle," before I call the police. Skedaddle is another word that we spoke about. It means go, shoo, shoo. That's what I do when I meet people who use double negatives. I say, shoo, double negatives. I don't want to hear you or see you. Skedaddle, go away, shoo. So you see, lashing out can take many different forms. Some of them are quite polite, but maybe just a little bit more than the usual polite response, maybe bordering on aggressive. And lashing out can also mean a physical attack, completely unprovoked, which may even be a criminal act. But either way, it's usually a response to something. It stems from somewhere, because people don't usually act that way, do they? Anyway, I see that somebody was harmed outside one of our metro stations in London yesterday. So I'm not sure about the Mayor of London's comments lashing out. He was saying that the metro is still very, very safe. Well, that is true that it's probably safer than other countries in the world, but unlike countries, for example, Spain, I noticed in Barcelona, they have guards on the trains who walk through the trains and metros with dogs, and they have men with truncheons, policemen who carry those big batons In the UK, we call them truncheons, and they're not afraid to use them. I remember once when I was living in Spain, a policeman came to the platform and everyone just disappeared. Some people ran away the moment they saw the policeman. Now, I don't know why that is, but it shows that authority can be very powerful. And in London, we don't have anything like that because our police are, well, they're more like customer service operators. If they know someone has done a bad thing, of course, they will catch you and take you away. But generally, when you see them, it's more just a sign of safety. They're not there to try to catch people or to look and see if crimes are happening. They're usually just standing there with their coffee, looking around just to make sure everything is peaceful. But they don't carry guns. They don't usually carry any kind of weapons. And they're generally quite calm. I remember back in the 1980s on the metro system in London, when I was a teenager, some people felt that the metro wasn't really very safe. And so they created a team of vigilantes. This team of vigilantes became very famous and well known. That was something that started in New York and found its way to London. People wearing red hats, they were called the Red Berets. Berets. You know, the beret is a type of hat where the T is silent. They were basically peacekeepers. Well, they were called the Guardian Angels, and it was quite successful in America, but it really didn't become popular in the UK. I think British people are a little bit obsessed with who provides law and order. We look to the police to do that, and we don't like it when groups form themselves to create their own style of law and order. And anyway, because we are not allowed to carry guns or weapons, they didn't really have a lot of power, but I remember they were quite scary. So yeah, we had the Guardian Angels, and this was like a non-police person standing guard on tube trains. And they were very helpful, but a little bit uncomfortable to see. It really didn't work. I mean, you would get on the metro, and there would be people standing there wearing t-shirts and beret hats. They'd be standing at the end of the carriage, showing some kind of looming presence. Looming means that they were kind of standing over you, waiting for something to happen. It was really strange. And anyway, the whole thing just faded out. I think the police agreed with them that they would do more patrols. And at that time, of course, cameras were coming in. And now I think they have undercover police who are on the metro all the time. And they watch people, particularly on the platforms, because they can see men who are just standing there watching trains go by, who are perhaps looking specifically for types of people. So everyone gets watched by CCTV on the metro. So maybe that provides a lot of safety, but yeah, I must admit, I don't really remember seeing many police on there, at least not in recent years. Anyway, that's the story of the um, the mayor of London, lashing out. I hope you've enjoyed this. That's it from me today. Let's talk soon. See you. Bye.